Problem 35 has a lot of pieces, parts, all right? Actually, if you have your book, this is on page 229, and it continues on to page 230. And I think I should probably stop and let you read and let you talk to someone near you, and then come back here in a minute. Hey, you know...
You didn't...
What's that?
You didn't show us.
No, it's in the book, page number 35. So we're producing picture frames, and there's a little p. What's the little p stand for? Price. And we know that c is a cost function again. Okay? And now it's talking to us about revenue. How do you get revenue? Well, you take the cost. No. It really depends on the price, right? We need the price of the item. So we need the price of these picture frames. And what else do I need to tell you if I want you to tell me? See, revenue is the money we take in, right? How many we sell. We have to know how many we sell. So by the way, if I write this little formula for you, this may help. The revenue function is given by x times the price function. Does that make sense? Because what's x stand for? The number of picture frames we're producing. Okay? X is, or maybe the number you sell. Yeah, the number you sell. So I'm making an assumption in this problem. I'm assuming that everything we produce gets sold. All right? That's not true, I know. You could get a little more in-depth with your analysis, but you'll do that in marketing class. Let's just assume that X is the number we sell, right? And how about that profit function? Does that make sense to you guys? What's that say? Profit equals what? Revenue minus cost. Okay? And then the next line's kind of interesting. Find the smallest and largest values for positive profit. See, not everything we do, not every decision we make turns a profit. That's why my friend's uncle got out of the car business. He said, no way. It's not going to turn a profit.
The capital P is profit, lowercase p.
Capital P is profit, lowercase p is price. That's going to be our standard for our book. And I don't guarantee it's going to be standard for everything you guys study. You got to pay attention to what the source is on that. And then the last question says, evaluate P prime of 3,000. So P prime, what does that mean? We're talking about a rate of change of the profit, and we're evaluating that when the production level would be 3,000 picture frames. Okay. Anyways, there's a lot to do, so I better get to work or I'm not going to finish. Only have 15 minutes, huh? Something like that.
Yeah, but how can we get it?
Well, let's see. I'm going to start off just by writing down some of these different functions, right? We have the price function. We have the cost function. So I guess the first thing I ought to do is multiply those, right? So let's see. My revenue function okay, again, this is problem 35. My revenue function is, we said, x times p of x. So it looks to me like my revenue function is x times, well, negative x over 30 plus 200. Do you guys think I should simplify this?
No.
I mean, what am I going to do next? I'm probably going to be using it, right? I would simplify this one. Multiplying by x, isn't that easy?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Why don't we rewrite the revenue function as, I'll distribute the x. So how about I write it as negative 1/30th x squared plus 200x. Does that seem okay to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's advantages for writing it this way, and there's advantages for writing it that way. Kind of depends, I guess, what you're doing. We may end up using both ways. I don't know. We'll see. But there's the revenue function. So what did it ask me to do then? We were asked to, determine the profit function. All right, so all I have to do now is take that revenue function and subtract what? We have to subtract the cost function. So I'll take that negative 1/30th x squared plus 200x, and now I'm going to subtract, better put it in parentheses, 60x plus 72,000. Right? So now I'll have the profit function, negative 1/30th x squared, and then what would it be? It'd be plus 140x, right? Okay. Thank you. Plus 140x, and then minus 72,000. Well, that makes sense. Those are the fixed costs. So this is a $72,000 initiative, right? So that's the profit function now. Okay, next step. What are we doing? I think it said we want to compute, the values of x that'll make this a positive profit, right? So how do you do that? That may be confusing. Find the smallest and largest values for positive profit. You guys, what would the graph of the profit function look like? A parabola. Opening which way?
Downward.
It opens downward because that's negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, my picture is something like this. And see, somewhere right here, when x equals 0, no, not x equals 0, p of x, when the profit is 0, that's like your break-even points, right? So I'm trying to figure out what are the x values that make the profit 0. That's what I'm looking for. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. I'd like you to talk to someone near you about how you might compute that. Go ahead. So we just had this pulled out. You guys remember the good old quadratic formula? Negative b plus or minus, what is it? B squared minus 4ac is under the square root. And then all over what? 2a. I mean, does that thing factor? I don't know. Maybe. Multiply by 30. I think this is probably the way to go. You have a calculator, right? Well, speaking of calculator, hey, let me put that in the calculator. I'm going to need it anyways. So, by the way, for those of you that want to do it this way, I should mention what I always do. Anytime I have a quadratic formula problem, I then write down over here exactly what I have for A, B, and C. A is what? Negative 1 over 30. B is 140. And C is negative 72,000. And those negatives make a difference, okay? So you get, let's see, negative 140 plus or minus square root of 140 squared minus 4, times negative 1 over 30 times negative 72,000 all over 2 times negative 1 over 30. I'll tell you what, I love teaching a calculus class because I'm just flying through this right now. You guys are looking like, yeah, that's cool. When I teach an algebra class, I put that, they're like, it's so much work! And they just go crazy. It's just funny, the complaining level. It's just different. Calculus, you guys are just used to being abused, I guess. Right? So let's see. Let's see what happens. We get negative 140 plus or minus, so I need 140 squared. Nice job, 19,600. And then minus,
You didn't try, did you?
And then let's see, 7,200 over 3 would be, what do we got? Yeah, 2,100 times 4. Is that 8,400? Well, is it plus or minus? Minus. So 8,400.
I think it's.
Am I wrong?
I think it's 96.
9,600. Yeah, trying to show off, Paul. All right. We want a calculator, don't we? Okay, so while we're on the calculator motif idea, let's see. We're going to, oh, look at that nice trig function, inverse trig function. All right, anyways, let's go here, and I'm going to type in this function. So negative 1 divided by 30 times x squared plus 140x minus 72,000. Okay, let's graph that. Too bad we won't see anything. Oh, wait a minute. We should change the window. What should I change my window to? Well, they told me, right? They said 0 and 200 is what the thing is valid for. So I'll put a mark every 100 so we can see how many swings we're making. And now Y min and Y max, well, the profit, I guess what I'm really interested in is where does it hit 0, right? So why don't I say, like, I don't know, negative 1,000 and positive 1,000. And I'll put a mark every 500. And I'll hit graph. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do this, I guess, but
No.
don't see anything. I don't see anything. You like zoom fit? Zoom fit's a nice trick. I could do that. Let me look at the window again. 0 to 200. Isn't that what we said the model's good for? Y min and Y max. We don't see anything. Oh, that was the last
I don't
problem.
think there's. I didn't see any.
Well, I got to look more carefully here. Does this say at all what the production level is?
Not that I know.
No, it really doesn't. Although, you know what it does say? We're going to be evaluating P prime of what at the end of this problem? Well, maybe that's why. Maybe I can't see anything because we're talking thousands. So instead of going 0 to 200, why don't I go 0 to, okay, if we're going to be doing, yeah, 5,000 sounds good if we're going to be doing 3,000. And I'll put a mark every 1,000. So we're making, yeah, it makes sense. You'd make a lot more picture frames than you would patio swings, right? All right, so let's try graphing it now. Well, now I can see it. It's kind of a weird graph. You have to understand, what does it really look like? It looks like this if I get the scaling right. What am I seeing? I'm seeing where the x values are. You guys with me?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to find those. So here's a nice feature of your calculator. If you hit second calculate, you could do values, but you can also do choice 2. Hey, find a 0 for me. Then I won't have to use a quadratic formula. All right? But you have to tell it where. So my left bound, why don't I say 0? And my right bound is coming next. Well, let's see. Remember, each mark was 1,000. So why don't I say 1,000? And what this will do then is it'll find the zeros between 0 and 1,000. They even put a little arrow here. Do I have a guess? No. Just find it for me. What did we get? 600. Wow. So this works out really nice. By the way, did anyone get this from the quadratic formula? Did you get it? 600 or what? Well, the other one's bigger, right? So what's the other one? All right, you make me want to work out the formula. 3,600. Someone didn't want to work out the formula. 3,600? Let me test that. All right, so let's see. Second, calculate. You guys just want me to go home. All right, let's see.
No, we want to go.
You can go home anytime you want. A value. Let me plug in 3,600. Just to demonstrate to the television audience at home that, yes, y is 0. Okay. So, my class wants to get out of here. You know, they have 6 minutes. But here we go. Crystal's out of here in 5 minutes. All right. So, now let's do the last part. Oh, no. So what's this say? You have to make between how many swing? Or how many picture frames? 600. You make less than that, you're not going to sell enough to turn a profit.
It has to be greater than that, right?
Has to be greater than that. Now, sometimes this doesn't make sense to people. Why would it be that if you make more than 3,600, you're in trouble? If you overproduce, what could happen?
Revenue goes down.
Why does the revenue go down? Because what's going down?
Cost goes up.
The price is going down. The price of the item is going down, right? And the costs. But in particular, the price. The price starts going down. You saturate the market, they say. Okay? So that's one of the issues going on here. All right, so then the last little step here, P prime of, what did they say, 3,000? Okay, so here I go. P prime of x is, well, how do I compute that? I need to use P of x. There's P of x. See if I can get them both on the screen. Yes. Nice job, Paul. All right, so let's see. When we take the derivative, we get negative, how about 1/15 x, right? Plus 140. And by the way, this P prime of x, another name for it would be the marginal profit. You guys okay with that? So that's the marginal profit function. And it says, please compute P prime of 3,000 and interpret. All right, I could do that. 3,000 was a nice one to give me because it cancels with the 1/15. So I'm sure that was done on purpose. So let's see. 20, right? Negative 20. So negative 20 plus 140. You guys with me? Is 120. What are the units?
Dollars.
Dollars per.
What are we making?
What are we making?
Frame.
Picture frame, right?
Negative 2,000, not negative 20.
Negative
Or
2.
Oh, you're right. That's different. Let's get out the red pen again since Paul's making mental math errors. Negative 200. Does that make a difference? Because now what's happening? Negative 60 what? Dollars per.
Frame.
What does that tell me? Should I make additional picture frames? No. Because every time that I'm making additional picture frames at this point, I'm actually losing out on profit. My profit is decreasing. Matter of fact, if you recognize this in your business, what do you think you would tell the people at the plant? Maybe we should decrease production, right? Definitely don't increase it. Do you guys follow? So this is what marginal costs are all about. The last question is this.
How to interpret it?
Well, I just did interpret it for you. I said,
What last question?
the last question is this. Is there an ideal?
Yes.
What would be the best number of picture frames to produce?
2,100.
Set cost. Whenever
The highest, but how do you find that?
Average.
What's that?
Take the average of the.
Okay, well, for this one, you take an average. Well, how do you do it in general? That's chapter 4. Come back Wednesday and we'll talk about that.
Definitely show up now.
That's what